Uh. Hello, hello. Chainsaw Man chapter 209 came out today, and we are going to quickly go over it. It's a relatively short chapter, but there is quite a bit to talk about. I'm not going to be doing my usual doodles for today because I just came back from work and I'm pretty tired. But yeah, anyways, let's get started. So, picking up where we left off from last chapter, Yoru gets stabbed in the head with one of her weapons, and so does Denji, and most unfortunately, so does the homeowner of the apartment that they broke into the last chapter. This is possibly the least deserved death in all of the series. He was just minding his own business. Very sad. But anyways, Yoru gets impaled in the hips by a Lego sword. It's pretty fun. But then she disappeared. She teleports and instantly recovers before she went on to beat the falling devil and punches her into pieces. So we're wondering, where does Yoru get her sudden power up from? And we are answered immediately. So apparently, the United States of America dropped a nuclear bomb on the Soviet Union. They dropped several, actually. And for whatever reason, nuclear weapons have returned to the world despite being consumed and erased by Pochita in the past. So that's where the chapter ends up. Obviously, the biggest question we have is, how did this happen? Because, as far as we know, Pochita didn't throw back out the nuclear weapon. Da da da. But before we go to that, we have to maybe analyze some of the American motivation for suddenly bombing the Soviet Union. Because in the universe just a week ago, Yoru took the fingers of some 10 plus thousand Americans to power up her Statue of Liberty gun. So perhaps because there's tension between the United States and the Soviet Union, they perhaps thought that it was a Soviet act to take the fingers of the Americans. So, to retaliate and to get vengeance for the missing fingers, maybe America decides to, you know, drop some bombs. But anyways, back to the another thing that's a little weird is Yoru's memories, and I feel we should clarify where her headspace is at, because in the beginning of part 2, Yoru made it clear that her goal is to make Pochita throw up the nuclear weapons to bring them back into the world. But this chapter, she wonders why she forgot the nuclear weapons, which is a little strange because she clearly remembered nuclear weapons to begin with. So maybe it's that she remembered that there is this thing called nuclear weapons, but she didn't quite remember what's the concept of it was. She just knew that it's a really strong weapon. But I think there's still, the writing here is still a little weird because she says that she questions why she forgot, which, it's pretty obvious why she forgot. She knew that Pochita ate it, which is why she wanted to make Pochita throw out the nuclear weapons. So, hopefully Fujimoto didn't forget the consistency of Yoru's memories. Hopefully he follows through on that. Although, to defend this, maybe Yoru's memory would corrode throughout part 2 as more time pass after, like, Pochita eating the nuclear weapons. So, this part we'll need to maybe see the next chapter to really make a judgment on, but for now, I'm going with the assumption that she remembered the concepts of nuclear weapons, but just forgot what they she remembered that they exist, but she just forgot what they are exactly. But the biggest question of the chapter, which is why it returned. Because as far as we know, Denji and Pochita didn't throw up the nuclear weapon. They threw up a couple other devils. So it's possible that when Denji was fighting the aging devil, he also threw up the nuclear weapon devil without us knowing that it was the nuclear weapon devil. Um, could be a possibility. He gets stabbed in the head this chapter, and he also gets impaled through the stomach. So maybe the devil escaped through the stomach, potentially, but it's not. I don't think that's it either, because we've seen Denji gets like he gets cut in half. He cuts himself in half even. So it's like we didn't see any devil escape or return to reality because of that. So I don't think that's a possibility either. I think that's the least likely outcome for that. We also see Denji get beheaded, and he put a chainsaw through his own brain the first time he fought the Falling Devil. So head trauma probably not a reason for the nuclear bomb devil's return. So based on what info we have, what I think happened is that Yoru, because Yoru, she's the War Devil and she has dominion over all the weapons. She can like bring them back to her, like she did the gun and the tank devils earlier. Because she subconsciously still has control over the nuclear weapon devil. On her death, she revived it on instinct, and I guess that means Yoru's weapon powers are greater than Pochita's erasure. Although Pochita's erasure was only for. It's not clear if it's like. Well, I'm not completely sure if it's just erasing the concept from people's memories. Because we see the when he ate the ear devil, the ears of people like physically disappeared. So I don't know if like what I'm trying to say is I don't know if a individual's memories would like if they remember if that would counteract Pochita's erasing power. It's all very abstract. But because Yoru's subconscious remembers, and Asa spends a good amount of time in Yoru's subconscious, she also saw the nuclear weapons a few chapters ago when she asked Denji to kill her and put a stop to this. And at the time, she couldn't tell Denji what it was for some reason because it's so terrible that she doesn't want to. But now that we see this, I'm thinking that perhaps she couldn't if she wanted to because she had no idea how to describe nuclear weapons without, previously knowing what it is. But that's where my mind is at. I also seeing some theories that suggest the scientists of the world just happened to rebuild nuclear weapons from the ground up. But I don't think that's it, because if they did, they wouldn't have maintained the name nuclear weapons. They would have called it something else. But yeah, but overall, a pretty short chapter, but filled with a lot of speculative things. Lastly, though, if you guys remember, I don't know how many of you were reading the series when it was coming out in part one, but in 2020, when Fujimoto dropped chapter 76, it featured the American president sacrificing 1 year from the lives of the Americans to power the Gun Devil, which in hindsight is a pretty shitty deal. But anyways, a couple months after that chapter came out, I think maybe even a year later, the studies shown that COVID shortened the average lifespan of Americans by about a year. So hopefully this chapter isn't another one of Fujimoto's. Hopefully this chapter of you know America dropping the bombs don't come true. Hopefully Fujimoto's not channeling some dark energy over there. But yeah, that's all I got for the week. So moving on to some comments from last week, because it was 2 weeks ago. Um, Baseman Dong Great, Based Dong Great, I don't know how to pronounce that. He said, my thumbnail was mixed up. It says chapter 207 instead of 208. I don't think that's true. I looked at it. It says 208. I feel like I'm being gaslit, but I appreciate the heads up. This guy asked me if I read Chojin X, which is the new manga of Tokyo Ghoul's author, and I am not, because the release schedule for that is pretty random. I think they gave Ishida the freedom to just release a chapter whenever he wants. So my plan is to maybe wait for more chapters to release and then to binge it all at once. Because I remember when I was reading Tokyo Ghoul, and the pacing wasn't the best for like a week to week reading. Maybe this time around it's a bit different because he gets like control over how many pages he gets to drop each time, but my plan is to just wait for more to come out before reading a lot of chapters in one sitting. This guy asked me if Nayuta's really dead. I answered probably. He also dropped about 10 other comments, which I didn't see, because if you don't like tag me, YouTube's not gonna give me a notification to read the comment. But I appreciate the passion and the engagement, the comments. But I do prefer if you like just leave one long comment instead of 10 of them. But thank you though. But yeah, let's see if we have anything going on right now. Let's see, Titanic Mind. Hello. I forgot the possibility of nukes being reinvented. It's possible, but I don't think that's the case. Because at the end of the chapter, the news anchor does reveal that like they just learned of the names of the nuclear weapons. So if it's reinvented, I don't think it's gonna be like that. Like, I don't think they would know the name of the weapons if it was built up from scratch. Da, da, da. So I do think the only thing that makes sense to me right now is the Yoru's subconscious just having control over the nuclear weapons, even though she has no clear memory of it. Isn't it possible that the Death Devil is telling them about nukes? So here's the thing. I don't think the Death Devil knows, or she has like vivid memory of the nukes either, because let me pull up the chapter 84 when Makima was telling Kishibe about it. Because from what because I'm assuming that all the Horseman Devils have similar memories, similar capacity for memories. So when Makima was telling Kishibe about it, she said that she was starting to like forget a lot of these things. So, let me pull up a screenshot. So maybe, but I don't necessarily see that being part of the Death Devil's plan. It's possible. But yeah. I'm still more leaning towards like Yoru's subconscious, because it would explain Asa freaking out about the possible future. Let's see. Even if she remembered, though, remember nukes are already being used right now. No way US can send nukes the moment she brought it back. I think that's the abstract nature of the how like Pochita's memory erasure works, right? Because like when the ears and mouths, mouth, mouth were removed when Pochita fought Yoru, it was I'm trying to think what happened there. Mm, actually, I don't really have an argument against that. It's possible that they. I don't know. I don't know. It could also be possible that it was brought back a week ago when Denji was like just throwing up the whole time. Because I think this chapter said that the US were planning it for a couple of days. Let's see, let me pull up the chapter again. The American military used this weapon for the first time as a fast track for ending the war. Uh, this line actually, now that I'm reading it, this line here also does make me double think whether they actually regained their memories because the reporter said that the American military used this for the first time, which we know isn't true, right? Because the American military probably has used it before, assuming that the alternate history in Chainsaw Man matches up with reality. But regardless, if everyone regained their memories of nuclear weapons, this wouldn't be the first time. So, yeah, that's actually a good counter argument for myself. Yeah. So I don't really have a concrete answer for this. Could go either way. I think this line does make me think that maybe the weapons are being reinvented, but at the same time, it's like they wouldn't know what to name it if Pochita didn't throw up the nuclear bomb devil, because the name would still be erased. Hmm. So I don't know. We'll have to wait till next week to really see what's up with this. Ba ba ba. Yeah, yeah. Let me see. Let me scan through the chapter again really fast. Let's see. Octopus ate the nukes in Pochita's stomach and puked it up. Now, this. Oh, could be. That's an interesting idea. That if something else eats what's in Pochita's stomach, they can carry it out with them. I didn't think about that. That's possible, and that's a cool way to maybe reintroduce Yoshida back into the story. But let me quickly go through the chapter again. I'm still mad that the homeowner just like dying. This freaking guy. We need justice for this man. But yeah, let me quickly go over the chapter. Oh, all that aside, one minor thing I want to note is my favorite panel of this week actually is this one. This is in the beginning of the chapter when the falling devil was walking through the door into the apartment. She like bends down, and there's something that's really terrifying about that to me. It's like an all-powerful being, all-powerful devil, demon, demonic thing, just taking the time to like bend down to pass a doorway instead of just, bursting through it like the Kool-Aid man. There's just something kind of deliberate and sinister about it. And speaking of the falling devil, I am pretty sure that she is not dead. She is most likely just gonna come back and keep doing her thing. Despite her upper body being blown into pieces, I believe she'll come back. I don't think any primordials are gonna be defeated throughout the series. At least I hope so. I feel that would maintain the mystique of the primordial devils. Let's see. Makes sense for the Death Devil to orchestrate nukes to strengthen Yoru since she wanted that to happen. Could be. Hmm. I'm trying to remember what the Death Devil was doing prior to this, because she sent the Falling Devil and the fake Chainsaw Man to, I guess, to wreak havoc upon the like throw shit on humans in cities. She also sent them to Yoru, Denji, Asa. At this point, I'm just very lost on what the Death Devil is. So I thought I had a very concrete idea of what her plan was. My initial idea, like a few months ago, was that she wanted Pochita or Yoru to power Pochita to spit out devils to. I'm sorry, it's the opposite. I thought she was going to return devils to no, I thought she was gonna return devils to like depower the Death Devil originally, because there were other possibilities to the end of lives other than death. So that's what I thought she was going at first, but Fami turned out to not be Fami at all, and I just threw my whole thing upside down on its head. So at this point, my tiny brain is a little worn out. I 50% like gave up on guessing what Fukumoto is gonna do next with these. Da da da. Let's see. I wonder if people just relearn how to ice nukes. Plutonian already exists, so just physics. Yeah, I think that's the most popular theory right now, is that the human scientists just learn to remake nukes. So I think there's some ideas to support that. I think one thing that goes against it again is the fact that the name is the same. It's still called nuclear weapons. So I think if the scientists just remade nukes from scratch, they would call it something else. But one thing that goes for it is that the news anchor said that the military used it for the first time, which means if they regained their memories, it wouldn't be the first time to them. So, honestly, right now I'm like 50-50 on this. I'm still leaning towards the subconscious thing, where Yoru's subconscious is unlocked the nuclear weapons because she has control over all the weapons. So as she's dying, she put out the nukes. I think that I like this because I think this would explain like why Asa was acting fidgety the other day, the other chapter, and refused to tell Denji like what's happening because she literally can't describe it. That's what I like about it. But otherwise, hmm. And also, I think it would be like less coincidental in that, you know, nukes just don't drop the exact second that Yoru's in trouble. I feel that would be, because personally, I don't like coincidences that much in storytelling. I feel like it's a little bit too convenient, too lucky. So I still feel that the return of the nukes is connected to Asa Denji getting stabbed in the head. Or maybe it's this old man. He is the key to nuclear weapons returning. New cooler. But yeah. But I think that's about what I got for the week. Yeah. I guess we can call it a night. There is a chapter next week, fortunately. Speaking of chapters, the new Frieren chapter came out today as well, after like a year of hiatus. I'm gonna go ahead and read that. Very excited. But yeah, thank you guys for the chat, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.